Hi, I'm Joe Barefoot. I am the operational supervisor for Bears Den Lodge. My family has owned and operated the lodge since 1986. The lodge is just south of Sudbury on the French River in northeastern Ontario. Joining me is George Taylor, a longtime guest of ours and a muskie fisherman. And we're here to talk about our equipment for releasing fish.
Yeah, actually, as much as that, we're here to talk about some lessons we've learned about releasing fish, because we've had some lessons that have involved a little bit of blood from time to time, a little bit of pain, and we'd like to prevent that from happening to anybody else. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we've caught some fairly big fish, and they have taught us to treat them with respect, because the muskie here are very big, they're very strong, they have very sharp teeth. So, nothing would suck more than catching the fish of a lifetime and then having to drive quickly to a hospital nearby to have your hand stitched up, which literally has happened. So bear with us while we talk through some things that will help you stay safe, keep and release the fish quickly. Better for you, better for the fish. So let's get started with the BogaGrip. This is I can't tell you how many times we've used this in a boat to save our fingertips. It's very simple. It's a very simple slide lock device. You pull back, these jaws open up, you put that on the jaw of a fish. Ideally, you've got the rope end tethered to the boat. Now, there's a lot of controversy about whether BogaGrips are safe to use and good for the fish. We do not use these as the sole means of capturing a fish. As a matter of fact, we use this as a means of restraining a fish when it's in a very large net, okay? And we just don't have a large net here to show you, but everybody knows what a large net is. Please, please, please bring a large net. Capture the fish in the net, then restrain it with the BogaGrip. And that will give you hold on the fish. The fish can't turn around and further damage itself by tangling hooks up in the net. So this is a really important tool. The other thing is that once the fish is free of the lure, we can keep this on the jaw, release the fish from the net, and just let it swim in the water freely and recuperate while we get ready to take a picture. Okay. Overall, the process of releasing a fish we try to keep to 3 minutes total. 2 minutes of keeping the fish in the water as we remove a lure, 30 seconds at the most for photography, and then another 30 seconds to let the fish go. And we've been fairly lucky with fish. We have not, I'm not saying we're perfect because I don't know, but we've not seen any fish that we've caught and released not swim away. And we've encountered our fair share of them. Pliers, Joe.
Yes. Here are some long needle-nose pliers. Very simple device that go around the lure and help pop it out of the fish's mouth. And we decided to go with longer needle nose pliers because of being able to reach further into the fish's mouth.
Yeah, the lures get hooked fairly deep, and the nice thing about these is even though they're long, you can get a lot of torque on the lure to pop a lure out pretty quickly. Now, there's also an option of using vice grips. These ones aren't quite long enough. This would be suitable for walleye. Actually, it's probably a little bit big for walleye, but we've used these on pike very successfully, up to about 30 or 40 inches. So these are a good option if you need something that locks. If you prefer to have something that locks. Now there are longer vice grips you can get, and if you're going to use vice grips for muskie, I would suggest something that's about 3 or 4 inches longer than this if you can get them, because this length is very handy to keep your hand out of harm's way. Now, there are times
when you might have to cut your lure as well to protect the fish.
Yeah, you want to cut the hooks out. Now, notice we're cutting the hooks. We're not cutting the fish. We're not snipping holes in the fish. Sometimes it's just helpful to be able to snip the barbs off so we can quickly release the fish. And in conjunction with the Nip-X, these are bolt cutters basically. These are Nip-X bolt cutters, and they're very handy. In conjunction, we would also use this Hemostat to grip the barb end of the lure we're cutting off so that the fish doesn't ingest. And we find that all these things it's really important to use all of these tools, because you don't want your hand inside the fish's mouth. You want to be able to grip the muskie a little bit securely, but not get your hand into its gills and its gill rakers. You don't want to damage the fish. And the hemostat will stop bits of hook from being swallowed by the fish, or you'll at least know where the barb of that hook went. If you don't want to go in the water, then you can bring it safely back in the boat and dispose of it later.
If you also need to open up the fish's mouth a little bit wider, there's also jaw spreaders that you just simply pinch it, shove it into the fish's mouth, and then help hold it open, while you're then using other tools in conjunction with it to retrieve the hook.
By the way, it takes a little bit of extra work, but I think it's pretty important when you're working on a fish this big that you don't lose some of your tools in the water, because you might catch another fish the same day or the next day, and you don't want to be down a BogaGrip when the next fish comes along and, oh, by the way, it's a little bit bigger than the last one. So we try and tether all of these, right? I would put a rope on the end of this handle. You can use some kind of a nylon rope and heat shrink, secure your pliers to the side of the boat. Same with the vice grips, same with the BogaGrip, same with the hemostat and the jaw spreaders. Let's talk about why it's important to have a knife in the boat.
Yes. So sometimes you might also have to just cut your line and reset the hook as well.
Yeah.
So after you're done tying your hook, it's also just an easy way to clean up your knot.
Yeah, and this is a locking knife. Okay, I have a Swiss Army knife there. I'll explain about that in a minute. The other thing that's handy about this knife, and good reason to have a knife, is if you get that wild fish into your net and it starts spinning around and making a mess of the line, it's, and again, a really good reason to have a BogaGrip, because the fish can come unglued pretty quickly and cause all sorts of problems. You might, if you've got a fish that gets the spins in your net, you might just want to start cutting the line off, because it's going to get in your way and it's going to pin the lure physically to the fish. And that is not only inconvenient, but dangerous for both you and the fish. So always great to have a good knife around to cut line for a number of various reasons. I used to use a Swiss Army knife. These are really handy except for one thing. If you don't, and so I don't take as good care of things as I should. So if you go to pull out one of your attachments and the only thing that you can get out easily is the corkscrew because you use it the most or because you've lubricated it, that's not a good thing. The other thing is, again, these don't really lock. This knife locks in place. These don't really lock, and sometimes, I use this on smaller fish, but I find that it's small physical size. Now, the other thing you'll notice that all of these tools are getting a little bit on the large side. And that's because, the bigger they are, the easier they are to find in your bag. This slides down into a pocket and it's gone. As a matter of fact, it once slid so far down into a pocket that I lost it for 11 years.
Yeah.
Okay, now that might speak to my organizational abilities again, but the fact of the matter is it disappeared for a good long time. It's back, and I will use it if I'm fishing for bass, but on muskie, I like something a little bit more heavy duty. And all these tools are a little bit more heavy.
And something else to mention too, with a folding knife like this, it's harder to operate with either your hands being slimy from the fish, or if you're wearing big fishing gloves to protect your hands while holding the fish.
Yeah. So that's our talk on handling fish and safety. Obviously, we want the fish to be released because it'd be great for somebody else to catch them another day, and it'd be great for trophy fish to be able to go off and breed and make more trophy fish. Just as it's a big deal to keep yourself safe while you're handling fish like this, because they can present a challenge. They are strong animals, they're wet, they're slimy, they're slippery, and they have sharp, pointy teeth.
Yes, and a hook is cheaper than the muskie's life.
Yes, absolutely. So snip your hooks out, bring spare hooks. You're going to bring spare hooks for lures anyway, because they're going to get banged on rocks and blunted, and they're going to get bent on logs. So have spare hooks, cut your hooks out, release your fish safely, and hopefully both you and the fish will live to fight another day.
All right.
Thank you for watching.
Yes. And we hope to see you next time.
Yep. If you've got any questions about anything you'd like to discuss, in the description of the video there will be the website of Bears Den Lodge listed, and also an email address that you can send questions to or send comments to. we'd love you to like the video, but we more than liking the video, we want you to have a full set of fingers when you finish fishing for muskie.
All right, thank you for your time.
Take